All right. Let's see here. We can get y'all in here. I'm using my headphones, so y'all can throw me some comments and let me know if y'all can hear me okay. Currently in my studio. I mean my hotel. We'll get a few people in here. And if y'all pop in and you can hear me, just let me know. And I'm from my hotel, not my studio as usual. So all right. So I'll start to get into a little bit here. So I'm out of town. Well, I'm in Lincoln for the game with my family. So hop in here, do a quick little post game, but a recap of what the nightmare was on the field that we saw out there. So uh, anybody, if you're new, my name is Justin Adams. I am the host here. Oh, thanks, Wade. I appreciate it. The host here at Nebraska Football, the Voice of College Football, and I do the post games and videos. We do the Tuesday live streams with Mark Rogers and Greg Peterson. So what we're here to talk about today is unfortunately a bloodbath that we just witnessed. Coming into the game, basically what we had to do was play a perfect game. We had to win the turnover margin, and I don't think we could have only won it by one or two. Um, we had to stop getting off to these slow starts, which then the self-inflicted penalties, the mistakes, it was over before it started. That second pass of the game, that getting tipped up and falling right to their lap, that was about as unlucky as it gets. It just took all the life out of the stadium. Um, and it seemed like every time we would get an opportunity to get some momentum back, we would do something that would just, we got all the way down the field, we got on their side of the field, we get a false start, and get pushed back 5 yards. Harburg, we could have gotten the first down on that 4th and 1 drive had we not got a penalty before it ended up 4th and 1. So he had 11-yard run there would have been a first down. So yeah, it's just super disappointing, man. The biggest thing that you know I know Nebraska's not quite there yet, but it would be nice to see some fight in these big games. You see a lot of other teams that are outmatched, and they fight in these big games, and it's just like we do rarely, but against Ohio State's at home, Michigan's at home, and stuff like that. A couple years ago played close, but it's not consistent enough to where I think we should be. But I mean, Michigan. I was in the third row, so it was kind of hard to fully see the field. I can't see the full X's and O's um, that I'll be able to see from the film. So when I see it from the film, I'll be able to break it down a little bit more. But Michigan's execution was, I mean, they execute perfection. Like it's perfect. Their blocks, even on their little screen passes, their blocks set up perfectly. The way Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards were slipping through the arm tackles in the holes, our tackling was sure up until this game. And we knew this was going to be the biggest test to see if our defense was legit. And yeah, wait, that's a good point right there. The size difference was crazy. It's just like you see it when you're there, especially um, that these guys, they're Big Ten football to its core. Michigan is, and they have a great offensive line, a great defensive line. I mean, we could not get a push on their lines. I don't know. My biggest thing was I didn't understand why we came out of shotgun on the 4th and 1 because our offensive line wasn't able to get a push the whole game. So I don't know why we thought that, you know, in shotgun that was going to work because that gives them more time to get a push. And we needed to just line it up and have Harburg just drive forward and fall for that first down. We should not be in shotgun with, especially, we had the fumble again. It's just every time I feel like we're in shotgun, it's a something bad waiting to happen. And Michigan took us out of our game plan. The biggest thing was going to be we couldn't get off to a late start like we typically do. And Michigan, they took advantage. And our only hope was to be able to get ahead early and execute our game plan to what we wanted to do, which was going to be, hopefully run the football, start getting on the clock, but it didn't work out that way. And it was going to be hard with our pass game to play from behind. It's going to be very hard to play from behind against Big Ten teams, just because our pass game's not there yet. It's just, we just don't have a lot of weapons yet. And, Marcus Washington could have, if he would have hit him on that little route, deep middle of the field, he probably would have been gone for 6. So those are the plays that we have to make. And against Michigan, you need every point you can get. And we just were not. It's like we rolled over and died after that second interception. It just, the team, the fire that you used to see, the tenacity that we used to see with this team wasn't there. And albeit they faced a excellent Michigan team. That Michigan team is solid this year, man. I tell you what. And run defense is stout. Their run defense is solid. I knew our run defense was a little bit propped up by the schedule, but I was hoping that, we'd be able to see a little bit of improvement against the big teams. But it's just the hardest part about it is, like, even though, we may have been expecting, what's up, Jackson? I appreciate you stopping in, buddy. I don't really necessarily think we need to go this far because, the 2-18 against top 25 ranked teams is not Rule's fault. Like, that's not on Rule right now. I still believe in Rule. Like, this game doesn't change anything. I predicted 38-17 Michigan, but it was 45-7. But still, like, regardless of the outcome, I knew we were playing the number 2 team in the country, and I knew we're so far away from that we had to play a perfect game. We have not played a perfect game even against bad teams. And so thinking that we were going to win coming into this game was just kind of unrealistic. Like I said, I just want to see him put up a fight and just show some a little more. With the Ohio State game 2 years ago, there's a whole lot of saying went to the Oklahoma game last year. Basically, I need to stop coming to games. I think that's what it is. But we just need a little bit of fight in these games. But I'm curious to see what Matt Rule says post-game press conference. Just, that's the first time, we've seen him get really whooped. The Colorado game, that was close throughout. At the end, it kind of went off the rails. But first time we've seen him get whooped. So I really want to see how he has the team respond from this. It's a tough one to take, but it is Michigan. We got to take it on the chin. It's better. It's better than, than losing to, some nobody teams, So we'll be physical like they are now in a few years. Exactly. Again, you got to think, how long have they had Harbaugh there? It's similar to Minnesota, right? Well, Minnesota to me is like Michigan light. Fleck has a system in there, and they do what they do pretty well. They execute well. They don't beat themselves, but the talent is what it is. But Michigan, they execute well. They don't beat themselves. They were everywhere they needed to be. Each player stayed defensively sound and did their job, and we couldn't bust anything because of that. It's one of those things. And, like, when you lose the momentum like that, and your defense is just constantly on the field, it's tough sledding for anybody. So, Michigan, good teams. Yeah. So this I agree with. This is what I was kind of talking about earlier. Is you want to see fight. You want to see something. Even if it's, like I said, even 38-17, what I predicted would have been acceptable. I would have took that, but this game was over before it even started. And Caleb right here, it's kind of, they look beat on the first drive, but it wasn't just the first drive. Then it was that second, that second pass being intercepted. It was just like, the old here we go again. Because the last thing we could do is give them easy points, and we did it first thing out of the gates. Second pass play, and then they scored like that quickly because our defense just got off the field. It was a almost 5.5 minute drive, that first drive. Our defense just got off the field, and then they get thrown back onto the field. It's not like when they were fresh, it was much better, but it's just backs against the wall from the start, and we needed to be on the offensive. Rutgers, had Michigan start slow. So, I was hoping maybe some physicality could have got us a similar result as that. And then, we keep it close. We defer to the second half. We come out in the second half kickoff and make it a game, and hopefully he's making a game late. But Yeah, this team, it's far away. I mean, we knew that coming into the season. I mean, people have been talking about it, for the last few weeks. People have been down on this team, down on this team. Um, and then they come back here every time, and it's like they're waiting for us to lose so they can come here and be like, I was right. Well, I'm trying not to be a doomsday prepper or anything like that. I do think this team is in the right direction still, and I know nobody wants to hear that, but it's the fact of the matter. We got to reset our minds from Frost. Rule is a brand new coach, brand new staff. We gave 4 games under Frost. He was 0-4. Everybody was giving him time, patient with him. Like Rule needs the same thing. We always said with Frost, wait till he gets his players in there, wait till he gets his guys in there, wait till he gets some culture system. We're impatient because of what Frost, 5 years of that. But now we have Rule, and he deserves that same time that Frost guy. Just because Frost is a hometown guy, Matt Rule deserves that time. And I still think we're fine. We're okay. Um, I get it's just like you said, it's rough to see it year in and year out. But the good news is looking forward now, um, is that the rest of our schedule, is easier for me. I'm not going to say easy, but easier from here. Michigan was, of course, the toughest game. So in a way, you know, I think the most important game, the most important thing is not this game. It's going to be the next one. And like, do we come out and do we come out with intensity? Do we come out with fire, or do we roll out there like we did today? And do we look like a team that doesn't want it? And that's going to be the big indicator to me. It's not really right now. It's not the wins and losses, and those will come in time. You know, but right now it's really just seeing how this team responds, because before it was, the team, under Frost, they just started to get defeated, early in the season. And, we can't afford that to happen under Rule year one. Um, but I think you'll have the guys ready to go. And I still think that, like, you know, the best is ahead of us, of course, but we need to really just take care of business in the games that we should take care of business, and maybe one upset, two upsets. Um, bowl game, a bowl game is still in reach. Michigan wasn't the game we predicted, but um, I'm not using that as necessarily a measuring stick. Like I said, I just want to see improvement. I want to see the game to game. This is the first time we took a drudging. Like I said, the Colorado game was close to the end of this defense war. This is the first time we took a whistle to whistle drudging. And it was, like I said, it was basically expected. But the rebound is going to be the most important part. How this team comes out, as long as they don't roll over and die. It's a good team. Yeah. Lord can explain the outcome for today, given that belief I mentioned. Yeah, I think it's just one of those things that happen. Again, like, we can believe in Rule all we want, but at the end of the day, the talent is the talent that he has. And uh, I mean, the team is talented, but again, you got Harburg in there who, was supposed to be the backup, and albeit played very well against the first two teams, and he played his ass off out there. Can't take anything away from any of the players, but it's just a matter of, like, when you're outmatched to that level, it's really hard to scheme up a game plan to come out and win that game. It's just, they were bigger, they were faster, they're more physical, but that's because Michigan has built that over time. Michigan hasn't been that. Michigan has built that over time, and they are a well-oiled machine ready to rock and roll because they've had this. But Michigan has had a tough time under Harburg too. Michigan fans have wanted to get rid of Harbaugh, so it's like, I keep saying Harburg, sorry. Michigan fans have had their fallouts with Harbaugh too. So it's like, as soon as we came out and rolled off 2 wins, everybody started to change a little bit. Now we're back. We lost to Michigan, and everybody's kind of down in the dumps again. So it's just like, once we start winning, hopefully get a couple more wins and just get that momentum rolling. And when we do get that momentum fully rolling to late in the season, how we end the season is very important, and what we do with that momentum. Are we able to consistently keep that momentum rolling, or is game to game, is it just kind of like it's been, where it's like you don't know what team's going to show? I'm going to put my faith and Rule that it will be the former and not the latter. So, I'm still flipping through CMOS comments here. I don't have a lot of notes. I'm on my Samsung phone here, so I don't have a whole lot of notes. And when Illinois looks worse than us, yeah. Illinois next week. That's why I'm at least happy that we play Illinois. Not saying that they're going to be a win. You know, I'm not saying any team is a guaranteed win right now, but Illinois is very beatable for us. That's going to show everything. That how the team practices this week. You know, it's going to be hard to get a flip that turnaround and get everybody, you know, engaged for this week's practice. Get everybody fired up, but you have to because we really can't. I mean, can't afford to have another three-win season. You know, so I'm not saying we'll make a bowl game, but just a 3-4 win season. But you know, if we can get 4 or 5, you know, hopefully 5, and then just you have some momentum going in the next year. But like I said, as long as we see improvements over the course of the season, we should win those. A lot of or a few of those games at least. Yeah, Michigan just was they were so solid. They had no penalties until like the third quarter. They, you know, even they made one mistake too on the punt return, but I mean, it's like we couldn't catch a break out there. I mean, that's another thing we got to take into account. Like, honestly, we shouldn't have got beat that bad because you know that tip pass. I don't know if it was tipped or if it hit somebody. I was kind of blocked by the players on the sideline, and you know I felt softball right into their lap, and you know that right out of the gates, that's giving them a touchdown, right? And then not only that, again, when we got down to their side of the field, and then we had that penalty. You know, we got second and 6 or something like that. Got a penalty, set us back, and then you know we got all the way to 4th and 1 and couldn't convert. We couldn't get a push. So, you know, that is a potential touchdown taken off the board right there because that penalty set us back. And then, you know, the fumbled snap when we needed a score, worse than anything. That snap being fumbled, and it's just like every time we needed momentum, something wrong happened. You know, like that punt where he fumbles it and they get a lane for 30 yards because everybody's crashing to the ball. You know, that's the most dangerous situation on a kick return or a punt return is when the ball gets put on the ground and everybody collapses from their lanes. Well, if that guy picks it up and runs it, well, now everybody's collapsing on the ball. There's lanes on one of the sides, if not both the sides. And he found a lane. Luckily, we had somebody get out, but by then he was already at midfield, and we needed to have them put their backs up against the wall. I don't even know why we're punting there, first off, because what are we punting for? Like, we trying to play the field position battle. We're down 4 touchdowns. Like, you're at midfield. That's the time to go for, you know, 4th and intermediate, you know, 4th and short, because you had to get momentum somehow. You just can't punt them the ball. That's not when you get to midfield and you're down 28-0, you can't punt the ball. It's just, you know, if you don't get it, well, okay, but look, we punted it and they returned it right back to damn near where we had the ball and would have turned the ball over and downs at. So, but yes, Michigan does look like a championship contender. Like I said, they're a damn good team. Like that team was super impressive to watch. And you know, hopefully Nebraska can get there someday, but you know, hopefully we can get back there. But that's a really good team we got beat by. So I see a lot of effort out there today with performance all around. So we'll learn a lot. But yeah, so that's what I kind of alluded to earlier. It felt like the life was taken out of the team after that interception on that second drive, that second pass. The energy was sucked out of the stadium, and you could just see the players just kind of like, you know, and it's like, okay, we got time, so you want to see them kind of, you know, pick it up and be able to brush that stuff off and not let it, because there's 7 minutes still in the game. I mean, 7 minutes still in the first quarter. You have time, but those are the things where we need to. Those are the times where we need to really, you know, we just didn't take advantage of any of our opportunities today. Uh, yeah, that's another thing too. Is like let's say we had a Trey Palmer on this team, right? It's a different team. And again, under Frost, with Casey Thompson at quarterback, he had that option of Trey Palmer, 1,200 yards. Casey Thompson threw for 2,000. You got to think that like Harburg would probably be, in a lot better shape if he had a field stretcher like Trey Palmer. But right now, it's like Billy Kemp is the sure-handed guy, and then you got Borkature and Fedoni, who didn't get a whole lot of stuff. Didn't get a whole lot of opportunities. We just need more weapons than that. And we got Malachi. We knew that coming the season. We lost Isaiah Garcia Castaneda. We're also. I mean, let's not forget we're down Ramir Johnson and Gabe Irvin. That was going to be a recipe for disaster coming in this game. But we don't have a true number one receiver, and it's hard. It's really hard to bring somebody like Harburg in third game of the season without a true identified number one receiver. Billy Kemp, is great, but Billy Kemp can't be peppering him the ball. He's little. He can't. He's like a Wandell. Like you cannot be peppering him, getting hit after hit after hit. We have to have a guy that we can have on the outside that we can at least kind of somewhat stretch the field with. Marcus Washington had an opportunity today to beat that, but again, Harburg threw the pass behind him. So, and that would have gone for 7. So that's, it's still, again, big game. So, and that's Michigan's defense. They're tough, man. Like that's a hard defense to play against for anybody. So, whereas we would beat the Hawks. I can still rock with that, right? No matter what, no matter what, really, we have played Iowa close. And last year we beat them. So this year we're going to be battle tested enough to beat Iowa this year for sure. Next year comes USC, Oregon, Washington, probably top 10 Western University. So yeah, this. So, yeah, and the Big Ten kind of hates this, but I'm not necessarily too worried about who's going to be playing around us right now. Like I'm not worried about what everybody else is, because if Nebraska can build the way they're supposed to and the way we should be able to build with our facilities, with Matt Rule's like his ability to identify talent, and use of the transfer portal, I'm worried about us, and then because we're still a couple years away, right? So we'll see where those teams are when we get to where we need to be, and then we can worry about those teams. But right now, those teams are much better than us. So I'm more worried about looking internally and fixing what the problem we have before I start worrying about them. But it is going to make it much tougher. But I do, pressure makes diamonds, right? So we're going to have to learn one way or another to beat these teams. And what other way to do it than play more of them? We have to win 5 or more. Anything less is unacceptable. Yeah, and I was trying not to really focus on too much on setting a win-loss goal, but when we have 2 this early, I think we should have 3 more winnable games on our schedule. We definitely do, and so at this point, I do think 5 would be what we need to get to feel pretty good about it. Just because if we have 2 wins now, that means 3 wins the rest of the season. That's going to have Nebraska fans up in arms. And I don't necessarily think 3 or 4 wins is the end of the world. That's whatever. But Nebraska fans can't handle 3 or 4 wins. I don't want to see 3 or 4 wins, But again, if it did happen, I'd be able to look at it. Hopefully, I'll look at it objectively. But yeah, 5 wins. 6, we're feeling good. We're feeling great with 6, but we still should be feeling good with 5 if we get there. So, field goal kicker, man, Tristan Alvano. He's inexperienced, man. He's so young. It's tough for him to get out there and kick, but he does need to start making them. I mean, he has all the talent in the world, but inexperience can only be used for so long. We've had kickers come in. Alex Henry, I think it was a true freshman when he nailed the 56-yarder against Colorado. I think it was a freshman. I can't remember, but it's I don't know what it is about our kicker. We can have most talented kicker in the world, and for some reason they get the case of the yips or whatever. It's um, it's frustrating because that was another problem we were going to have coming in. Michigan's field goal kicker was excellent, and ours we were unsure of. And again, we need the points every time we can get them. And I don't know if we even had enough faith, in him from beyond 30, 35 yards to want to put him in those situations. And we can't have that. If we want to continue the rest of the season to be able to win, we have to get points. So we, with this offense, kind of the way it is, still figuring out what it is, we need every time we get on that field, we can't just have to go for 7. We have to be able to take our points so we can get them. Right now, that's tough. It's tough for us to do. So, I think when Albano strings a couple together, that it's going to take a couple. I think he's just going to have to drill a couple and then get it rolling and keep it rolling. That's what I'm hopeful of. Because again, he's got all the talent in the world. He's shown he has ice in his veins in high school, but it's high school. But he has a hell of a leg. And he's not missing by much. So it's just, I think he just needs to get out of his head, get one to go through, get a couple to go through, and he'll be all right. That Auburn could pull it off. I actually didn't see score that game. We have a minimum on the 4th and 1. Would have went for it, but not shotgun. That's what I was saying. The shotgun. I was talking to my girlfriend, and I was like, I have no idea why we're in shotgun right now. We're not going to get this. We cannot get a push on their offensive line. Why are we starting ourselves 5 yards behind line of scrimmage? I get the running start, but when you don't have a push, you run into a wall, right? What we needed to do was just get Harburg 6'5" body under center and push him over and just have him go low and just slide, just dive a yard forward. Man, I just knew that one was over as soon as we got shotgun. It's just like the way their line was getting a push, and when I saw it directly in front of me, the way their line was getting a push on ours, it was shotgun wasn't going to work. Next year's schedule's tougher than this year's. Well, it's going to depend. Try not to judge the schedule until we see how everything plays out and stuff like that. But I think it's a little more difficult. This year's schedule I felt was a little bit favorable coming in, but iron sharpens iron. Exactly. Like pressure makes diamonds. Like I said, like you play against the best. If you come out here and beat teams 35-0, every week for your 8 games, or 8-9 games, all you're going to be is a Pac-12 team. Like it's just these teams that we're going to have to play against, they're going to make us better. The more we play against those teams, the more we're going to learn how to respond, the more we're going to get bigger, stronger, more physical. And these players got to understand, when they come to the Big Ten, facing a team like Michigan, you learn a lot about where you need to be and how you need to play. And I do think this team is going to take a lot of lessons away from this. I think I think we're in that window now where this is just game by game lessons. Rule. I think we're going to see the full adjustments start to take place, next year. Once we have this team in here a year and he's coaching and he's getting everybody coached up, next year we should start to see, a turnaround of sorts. And then 2-3 years down the road is when we should hopefully be competing for the Big Ten West. So much more talent. Yeah, we do. We're very talented, but when you go against teams like Michigan, Ohio State that are consistently in the top 8, top 5 recruiting, eventually you got to be able to recruit those guys. I get development and stuff like that, but obviously when you're too deep with 4 or 5 stars, and we're not even too deep with 4 stars, 3 or 4 stars, then it's, talent has to be there at some point. You can coach the hell out of these kids, but the talent's not there. We're just not going to consistently be able to stick with these teams. Then we still have a good chance for 6 wins. I think that's 5-7. Yeah, so I had us pegged at 6-6 and 7, or 7-5, but I think 5-7. We're looking at the rest of the schedule. 5-7 is perfectly realistic in my opinion. That's why I'm thinking, like, if we can't get to 5, then some things have gone wrong. the end of the season. And that's not going to be what we want to see, of course. But I do think 5 wins is realistic. I think 6 wins is perfectly in the realm of possibility. But I think 5 wins is probably we'll say it's our most likely scenario. I want to say 6, but again, I want this. I want to see this consistency from this team before I start just progressively picking them for wins. Understand they're spending hundreds of millions in stadium right now. I can't get the top half of the conference. I'll tell you, it needs that. It needs that though. Those bleachers they're rough, man. And I'm pretty sure the right side of my face had the sun on it the whole time. So luckily it looks pretty balanced, but this side of my face is pretty hot and I'm pretty white, so I might get sunburned over there. So as my other player doesn't have that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of the point I was getting at. Yeah, you can bring obviously more talent out of a 4 and 5 star with if you have a same coach a 3 star that coaches a 4 and 5 star, and actually he's going to be able to bring the most out of all of those guys. The 4 or 5 stars are going to produce better. Why do we play 10 no more yards off receivers? So that's a great question, and it's. I feel like Michigan just had us lost defensively a little bit, and I don't think we knew exactly how to play it because everything that. And another thing too, a lot of the plays that they ran were just short, quick hitters, intermediate stuff. So our players were probably, playing a little bit off so we don't get beat. But they were given too much cushion. And again, JJ McCarthy, he's great with his execution. He's great with his decision making. He has improved significantly. He was impressive out there. That throw he made to the back, I know the guy was wide open, but rolling to his right, kind of hopping into that throw, that was a great throw. Even the one on the sideline where his tight end, went up for it, went through his hands, like that was a great throw. He put it where it needed to be, even on some of his incompletions. The throws were great, but we could not stop their running backs. Their running backs were getting breaking 1-2 tackles per play, getting 4 to 5 yards, just doing what they needed to do, just getting positive yards. And I don't know how many TFLs we had, I don't know how many sacks or TFLs we had, but it couldn't have been a lot because we didn't stop that team behind. Another thing too, Josh Fleek's late touchdown. Good to see Josh Fleek's get in there. It was exciting coming in the season. Hasn't really done much, but Fleeks might be important going forward. May need to move him running back or whatever. It's just like or move him back. I don't know where we want him at worst receiver or if we want him at running back. But I think Janarian Bonner is going to have I'm not sorry. Hold on. Got a call. Cool. Cool. Not Janarian Bonner. I'm sorry, I misspoke there. Josh Fleeks is one on there. Okay, so all right, there's enough comments here. Let me I'll run through the stats real quick and then I'll hop off here. Appreciate everybody joining me. And like I said, I'm in Nebraska right now, so I'm doing this off my phone. So I'm trying to make it work. But so JJ McCarthy, 12 for 16, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. Managed the game perfectly well. He was great today. Blake Corum, 16 carries, 74 yards, 1 touchdown. Blake Corum, he came to this game with 58 carries, averaging 6 yards per carry. He had 8 touchdowns. He had a 13.2% touchdown rate based on how many touches he had, which is insane. Donovan Edwards came a little bit, he was at 3-point-something yards per carry, and Donovan Edwards, he got it going a little bit against us. But the fact that we didn't have the 2-headed monster fully working for them, I thought would work in our favor. But yeah, 4.6 for Blake Corum, 3.4 for Donovan Edwards. It's about on par with his averages. Roman Wilson, 4 receptions, 58 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson, they've been their top receivers. Did a fairly good job of holding the 4 receptions and 2, but they didn't really have to run a whole lot of plays. We kept giving them the ball in their territory, and they kept making big plays, getting the ball in short fields. So And then head over to Nebraska stats. We'll just run through these a little bit. 14 for 25 for Harburg, 190 yards, no touchdowns, one pick. Fleets had a 74-yard average, so at least we got that. Anthony Grant, 6 carries for 16 yards. Again, this run game was dead to rice from the start because we got off to, we got behind early, and we knew that we needed to get off to an early start and hopefully make Michigan throw the ball a little more. But once that happened, we were almost forced to kind of start passing the ball, and they realized we couldn't pass the ball, and we couldn't get a pass rush. That was a frustrating thing too. It's like every time they draw back to pass, he had all time in the world. He was holding the ball 5-6 seconds sometimes, just rolling out, making a throw. Just our DBs were getting left hung out to dry a little bit by the pass rush too. So, I don't put too much blame on the DBs. I mean, Michigan's offensive line, they're two guards or two. They're playing like All-Americans, and their center is one of the best in the country. So, Billy Camp, 4 receptions, 61 yards, 15.2 average. Marcus Washington, 1 catch, 56, but only 2 catches, 31. Again, the Marcus Washington play should have been a touchdown. And then, they took Harburg and Borkster out of the game. One reception for 7 yards. Josh Harburg had reception for 2 yards. That was pretty cool. But yeah, man, just all around bad. It's just unfortunate, but again, we'll take what we can, and all we can do is put our focus on to next week and just seeing how this team responds. So I think it's going to be the most important thing. I'll just speak through a couple of the comments here. Gandhi, I appreciate you stopping in, man. Y'all whooped us. You whooped us. So great team, man. That team executes perfectly. They came in there and they whooped us. They did what they got to do. It's hard. We would have had to play a perfect game to even. If we would have played a perfect game, it still would have been hard to beat them. To be completely honest with you, they were just bigger, more physical, and like I said, we could have helped ourselves a little bit, but even then, it would have been an uphill battle. I mean, they're just established. And they do what they do very well, and they don't beat themselves. So, but yeah, appreciate you stopping in, John. Congrats on the win, man. Appreciate you hopping on this Tuesday and giving us some insight into your team and stuff like that. So, if y'all ever get a chance to see John on or go to his Michigan channel, he's good stuff over there. He's very knowledgeable, knows his stuff. So it's always good to listen. I like to listen to other team stuff too, just sometimes just to get an idea for, what other teams are saying about their team. That's how I learn the most because, there's a little bit of unconscious bias when we're trying to, predict these games. We try to be, but there's a little bit of fan still in us. So, but yeah, I appreciate it, John. And, yeah, if y'all could, hit the like button, subscribe here, and we just Tuesday at 7 p.m. I'm sorry, I think it's 7 p.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Central. We have the Tuesday live streams where we'll prep you up for the next game, and I'll be able to recap this game a little bit more. Like I said, when I'm there field level, it's hard to really see. You have to see really from high up to be able to see the X's and O's. So I'm sorry I can't break that down a little bit more, but I'll get that more in detail for y'all. So. But yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with the family, man. Again, I appreciate everybody stopping in. Thank y'all. I know it was a rough one, but stick with us. Let's just keep it rolling, man. Rattle up a couple wins. We're right back in happy land. So it's really it's gonna be the biggest things. Our response. Again, if we come out flat against Illinois, then it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. But I trust this team to rebound, and I think we'll beat Illinois. So yeah, just get everything going back in the right track. Michigan, we knew Michigan was a steep hill to climb. I don't think at any point did any of us think like, oh yeah, we're going to win this game. So I appreciate it, Wade. Thank you so much, Ann. That's cool with you. So yeah, everybody who tunes in weekly, I appreciate y'all, man. And yeah, I'm gonna go hop off and I'm gonna go hang out with my family. If any of y'all are in Lincoln, we're at Rosie's downtown. So yeah, man, just y'all see me around, just say what's up. But yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with my family, man. Again, thank y'all for joining me here. I got to hang out with y'all for a little bit. So have a great night, everybody. Be safe, and I will see y'all next week. Peace.